The title race is hotting up as City almost stumble again. Liverpool put a decent performance in, and obviously you've still got the likes of Arsenal, Spurs, and I want to say Chelsea is still sniffing around, but there are a few different conclusions to take away from today's 3 PMs. Here I am to unpack them for you. If you've not already subscribed, we're going for 50k. We are so close. And I'd love to know what you guys think. If you want to let me know down in the comments below, if you want to see more content like this, or what kind of content you want to see, we will be doing it very soon on this channel. So thank you very much to everyone who subscribes. Appreciate it a lot. Liverpool had a 9-0 thrashing of Bournemouth. Now, similar to the way that we spoke about Manchester United's thrashing of Liverpool at Old Trafford, when Liverpool looked all over the place, tactically things weren't right, you can make an equivalency sort of argument here for Liverpool. There was a rubber band effect almost, where Liverpool had got frustration, anger, and so much stick from the first couple of games where people have basically gone, this guy's terrible, this guy's awful. But collectively, I think a lot of players acknowledged they weren't quite up to their best. But the real issue was the system at Liverpool at that point. And Klopp and Pep Linders should take a lot of credit, or I guess criticism, the other side of that, for those results. The fact was that the midfield at Old Trafford was not good enough. There was not enough structure or enough intent within the attack, despite the XG at both of the 2 previous draws that Liverpool had. And it looked a little bit all over the place. There was a lack of a plan. But the real compelling idea around why we should stick with this and why things will move forward at Liverpool is that Klopp has had this happen before. Klopp has had transitional periods where he has struggled. And frankly, I think when he does leave the club, there may be some awkward conversations about this period, that period. Why did that happen here? Why did that happen there? And very often you can taper that with, well, FSG were responsible for this, or Klopp was responsible for this. Klopp has tailored and changed a lot of the tactics in recent years with his coaching staff to try to adapt in certain ways, to fit Thiago into the side, to try to fit Nunez in, to try to change the midfield structure to maybe in the future change to someone like Jude Bellingham or another more dominant midfielder, say, in that midfield. And sometimes they're confusing decisions, but also sometimes they're decisions that are made on how can we break the opposition down when they know our plan. Things need to be adaptable within this Liverpool side, because when you have a low block, you need some other people to be able to come on. And it can't just be this old cliche of, oh, well, Mane was more determined than everyone else. Sure, there was an element of determination. He was a great leader within the team, but there is also an element of chaos that comes with Nunez. There is this element of carrying the ball forward when you have Carvalho and Elliott on the field. And today at Anfield, we saw a lot of those different elements because Bournemouth were just so all over the place. Harvey Elliott got his goal. Even Firmino looked like he was playing well. He's been maligned recently. And then you've also got the likes of Luis Diaz getting his goals. Mo Salah missed a gilt-edged chance, so I don't know why it wasn't 10-0, and it should have probably been more from Liverpool. But then you've also got Trent stepping up with a goal that doesn't silence many critics, because not many people are criticising his attacking football, but it certainly puts a stake in the ground and says, this is why I'm in this kind of side. And then an easy goal for Virgil van Dijk from a corner as well. So there were some very good, promising elements. And then not only that, Liverpool rotated their midfield yet again. They started with that Fabinho, Henderson, and Elliott at the start, which was a decent, there's decent structure in there. Fabinho is going to sit deep. Weirdly, Jordan Henderson goes over to the other side of midfield, again, showing an adaptability and a willingness to change in order to A, lead the side, but also just be adaptable for what Klopp needs out there, but also how threadbare that side of the midfield is for Liverpool. And weirdly, when you have that structure, because Fabinho was so important in that, and Harvey Elliott also carrying out some, I'd say actually he played on the left a bit more than, as equally as Henderson did, if not more. I wasn't watching the whole game because we had a couple of games on, but the point is, you could see that the left side looked a lot stronger for Liverpool. You could see that Andy Robertson felt a lot more confident because of the structure on that side. Luis Diaz drifting in centrally a little bit more, Mo Salah getting a bit more of the ball as well. All the things that you normally want to see the side do had those elements today for Liverpool. So there's a lot of promising elements. But then they bring on Fabio Carvalho. He gets a goal. Fantastic. They bring on someone like Bajcetic, a future Liverpool midfielder, as long as his physical stature improves with his playing ability. And obviously then we've got to talk about Bobby Firmino, the hero of today. 5 goal contributions overall in the match, but some people also maybe using that as a bit of a stick to beat him and saying you need to perform like this in more games. 2 answers to that. First of all, people saying he's on the decline and therefore this kind of shows his level playing Bournemouth. Seems a little bit harsh on a guy who's just had so many contributions and shown he can be so key to Liverpool. But also the opposite side of that, where if the system works, Firmino works. And if Firmino works, the system can often work. So we shouldn't just be judging him on Liverpool needs to play X type of football. There are multiple types of football Liverpool need to be playing right now. And I think a couple of those are in flux and changing. Players are still working out what position they're exactly trying to fulfill and how they're meant to fulfill that. Firmino is a genius number 9. I think in the future, like Klopp says, we will be looking back and saying, oh, that's how he changed the position. But for now, let's just laud praise on him. And I think he deserves a lot more recognition and respect at Liverpool, even if there have been a lot of poor performances at the start of the season, but there's been poor performances throughout the team. That's not just Bobby Firmino. He got his 100th goal for Liverpool today with a no-look finish. No one's classy. These were all statements from Klopp. This is Klopp saying, look, I believe in this current side, but it's also about turning this team over and bringing them into the next generation. And, people were questioning Virgil van Dijk. He was barely challenged in this game, so we can't really come up with any conclusions after this. Joe Gomez maybe got himself into 1 or 2 scrapes, but that was about as difficult as it got for Liverpool. And then it really was the best rebound game possible for Liverpool. What they now need to do is put a little run together, or try to, where there are some convincing results, not just a 9-0 against Bournemouth, a side that are clearly going to get relegated. Solid, digging in performances where they don't just collapse under pressure, concede first, and have a similar narrative. There are a lot of people who are very critical in a lot of my videos, calling me deluded sometimes, saying that I think Klopp might still have something in him this season. But the fact is, when Klopp goes through transitions, these kind of matches actually do pop up quite regularly, and it's also not unusual for high-end managers to have this. Tuchel is kind of having this at Chelsea at the moment. Pep is having this sometimes at City, where they go down, but then they turn things around. And that leads me quite nicely on City, actually, because Haaland had his another big statement game, should we say, not another, this will be one in a long line, but not his first, but another statement game. Hat-trick in this game. Probably could have had more, probably should have had more, and found himself in a position where he actually had to lead the side back from a 2-0 down deficit. Now, City again started slowly in this game. It was disappointing in terms of how easily it was that Palace got through the side, but we know that Palace have got that attacking intent, the counter-attacking intent. They know what to do against these big sides, and they also score quality goals against teams or know how to get that out early, but they then exhausted themselves. This is what happens against the Cities, the Liverpools, the big sides. You have to exhaust yourself in order to get ahead. And then if you don't sit back enough, if you don't absorb enough of that pressure, if you try to go out and get another goal, they'll get you. And then the players' heads turn and things change. Not only that, but both City and Liverpool are both looking at plan Bs, plan Cs, to catch the opposition out. Today, City's plan B, or maybe C, who knows, but how many different plans they've gone through, 3 at the back. Pack the midfield, get enough numbers in there. Those guys all flow forward and focus on getting the ball to Haaland in the middle. You could tell that there are a lot of crosses going in there, a lot of opportunities for Haaland to get on the end, leading to headers, leading to chaos, leading to exactly what Pep probably wants to imbue within this side. And it's those kind of things where I think Pep Guardiola is probably looking at it and thinking, yes, I've got a system here that I can make work. We can force goals now. And the strange thing is, when you can see there's a striker, fans can react to that. Otherwise, you would be looking at someone like Raheem Sterling, we'll talk about him later, but someone like Raheem Sterling, someone like Bernardo Silva, who people don't always associate with being that big-time goal scorer, but they probably should. It seems different. The narrative changes when Haaland is missing those chances. It's someone who, in your human mind, you go, oh, the striker missed. Liverpool have had the same thing with Firmino missing opportunities, maybe Salah as a winger missing opportunities. Sometimes people don't quite know where to expect that goal from. But now you've got this main goal source at City, who seems so unstoppable, who, even though he is so huge, seems to be able to break away from central defenders, who is getting a little bit deeper and receiving the ball and then trying to play it off, who is doing all the things that you can see Pep is coaching him up to do. That's a compelling case as to why Pep Guardiola is one of the best coaches in the history of football, but also in the Premier League at the moment. He's made such sweeping tactical changes in the off-season to the way this side attack, because they didn't have a big target focus guy before, when it almost seemed completely inappropriate to do so, considering their dominance. And I can talk about why it's also appropriate, but considering their dominance in the Premier League, it almost just seemed a bit like he was setting a task for himself. But now he's set a task for other people, and that is to defend against Haaland, and rightly so, because before, maybe there was an element of City being a bit workable, outable, and maybe he's not quite worked that out at the back, because maybe they are a little bit predictable there sometimes. Haaland up front might relieve some of that pressure, but at the same time, if they've conceded 5 goals in 2 games, it's also not great. So, I get it. They're going to want to force goals at some point this season, and you're going to want a plan B, plan C. City have always had that with their on-field managers. I think Pep spoke about having on-field managers when about a couple of years into being at the club, when he spoke about it's not necessarily me giving these tactical changes. I'm letting players interchange out there on the pitch. I've told them before, and I think you almost spoke about if I'm the one making the changes at that point, there's a bit of a worry because the players aren't managing the games themselves. For a little while, people wondered whether the City side lacked a few leaders, lacked people who were able to make crunch decisions out on the pitch. And maybe that was because some people didn't seem aligned with Pep, some people maybe didn't quite seem ready for that. But now you can clearly see there is, hey, we know exactly where the ball's going to go. We know when this guy switches into the position, I go here, and it confuses the opposition. It will confuse oppositions like Crystal Palace, who will be exhausted, but also oppositions who probably have even more quality than Palace, and will be saying, right, I don't know where my man is now. Liverpool had the same, and by the way, even when Liverpool was switching it up before, they still got to 9. Then you got Chelsea, who basically scraped through against Leicester. They looked lucky to do so at times. They looked like they didn't click at all. They had Conor Gallagher sent off. I felt like he was quite unlucky for a second yellow, but it was a yellow card. So he's just had an unlucky game there because Cucurella sold him short. Chelsea just, I don't know, there's something where they're not quite at the races this season, and that's the worry. In 1 week in the Champions League, we will see Liverpool, Chelsea, City, and obviously Spurs all challenged to go out there and start dominating games because they have to get the wins. There will be other sides who will have more quality than some of these teams, and they will be more focused. Cup competition is quite different in terms of the structure of the game when you need points and these kind of things. So it's going to be interesting to see how all these sides react. Will Tuchel be able to say, hey, I'm a Champions League manager? Will Klopp change the mentality and the structure for the Champions League? And will Pep Guardiola start tinkering again? Let me know in the comments below what you think happens. How does this title race play out? Do you think that the vulnerabilities for Liverpool, City, probably Liverpool and City more than anyone, but then maybe Arsenal later on in the season, will they be able to keep this run together? They should get 24 points out of 24 in the opening 8 games, surely. Do you think they can continue with their run at the moment? It'd be interesting to know what you guys think, and I'll chat to you guys a little bit later.